Damien, burn hot. I will never give up, nah give up, must live up. Keep on fighting, keep surviving. I will never give up, nah give up, must live up. Keep on fighting, keep surviving. Come and see them, me know who they are. Them a real wagonist, me see them from far. Every day they eat chop on the corner. Something them a look and them a come call me father. And if a day come me who da chop tongue. Me no know what this apparel's done. So me know them not real, them a tough like steel. Coulda what them feel. I will never give up, nah give up, must live up. Keep on fighting, keep surviving. I will never give up, nah give up, must live up. Keep on fighting, keep surviving. Already journey gets so rough it tough. Give thanks to Jehovah and feel me come. Never leave his trial by the wayside. He always protect and guide. Some of them will tell you say them love you, them not mean it. Me know you are dirty, me I tell you fi go clean it. Me left no for them a front, some of them a clown. But mine want see we fall down. But I will never give up, nah give up, must live up. Keep on fighting, keep surviving. And I will never give up, nah give up, must live up. Keep on fighting, keep surviving. Come and see them, me know who they are. Them a real wagonist, me see them from far. Every day they eat chop on the corner. Something them a look and them a come call me father. And if a day come me who da chop tongue. Me no know what this apparel's done. So me know them not real, them a tough like steel. Coulda what them feel. I will never give up, nah give up, must live up. Keep on fighting, keep surviving. I will never give up, nah give up, must live up. Keep on fighting, keep surviving. Believe in yourself. Let no one tell you you cannot make it. You cannot make it. Them no fall, no rain, them no shine, no sun. I will never give up, nah give up, must live up, live up, live up.
Welcome to another edition of Voice of the Diaspora. In studio with me today, a very, very special guest, none other than opposition member of Parliament, the firebrand MP, I must say, Annette Ferguson. She's no stranger to this program, and of course, she's no stranger to you out there in Guyana and across the diaspora. We will be talking about the PPP's mismanagement and corruption. As you know, we are in an election year, and Annette Ferguson will have a lot to say about what is happening inside Parliament and outside of Parliament as it relates to the PPP's corrupt practices. And we know there is a mountain of that happening. We will also talk about the opposition's prospects of triumphing at national elections. We got news today through the grapevine, of course, that President Ali is planning on calling elections as early as the 28th of July this year, the 28th of July. The PPP is running scared. But let us bring Annette in and let us begin this program. I want to welcome all my viewers. I want to say a special good night to all of you, and I'm so happy that you are here with me always, always. This program has to grow, and therefore I'll be talking to you about how you will help in ensuring that this program grows, so that we can do the news weekly, so that we can have people on the ground covering stories and everything. But let's welcome none other than the firebrand MP, Miss Annette Ferguson. Annette, welcome to Voice of the Diaspora. It's been a while. How are you?
Thank you very much, Norman. Well, I'm well, thanks. Let me take this opportunity to extend good night to your viewers back home in Europe there, and good evening to my viewers back home here in Georgetown, Guyana, on the continent of South America. But I'm doing well, Norman, and indeed it has been a while.
It has
It
been
has been appearance on this program. I know that you have been behind me for some time, and it's not a case where I was trying to escape from you, but got so many things going on
so
for me.
much. Yeah.
I'm studying yeah, at the same time, so it's really time consuming and stuff like that. But nevertheless, I'm happy to be here.
And I'm happy to have you here. And so we know it's an election year. We've heard that the PPP, the president may announce a elections date for the 28th of July. That's a very short time span for people to be prepared. I would rather suspect that certain changes happening on the political scene, including the advent of Mr. Mohammed going into all the PPP strongholds and meeting with people and so on. The PPP is running scared. And so I'm happy to have you here. Let us talk about what is happening inside Parliament in relation to the exposing, sorry, of the PPP's corruption and mismanagement of the nation.
Well, Norman, once again, I really thank you for having me on your program, Voice of the Diaspora, and also I thank you for your question. A lot indeed is happening on the political front, and yes, we are in an elections year, and many things start to show its ugly face. In the National Assembly for the year 2025, I think we met during the budget about 7 days, thereabout, five, let me see, 5 and 4, but 11 days. Yeah, we had the budget for 2025, and it's a $1.38 trillion budget. Like any other budget, the opposition would have their say. We would try to find out how government is spending the people's money, and whether the monies or the services or the programs that the government has to offer, whether it will be meeting the ordinary Guyanese out there. For 2025, all of the sectors, we recognize that when questions were put, we did not get the appropriate responses that we were looking for, because many times when you try to solicit answers from the relevant ministers, you have the speaker who would normally try to block us, try to protect the People's Progressive Party government ministers from coming under scrutiny. Because you cannot, Norman, say that we are a democratic society, and then you're avoiding the opposition from asking the appropriate questions. You're not being transparent. You're not accountable. So that is it for budget 2025. Outside of the regular budget cycle, you would have, like, normal sittings where bills, motions, questions, and so forth are to be asked. So for this year, we had a motion tabled by my colleague Valda Lawrence, asking for the government to really help the municipality in bringing some kind of decency to the Lee Repentier Cemetery there. And as usual, the politics got to play out in the floor of the National Assembly, where the government, try to make it seem as though it is the opposition that has the cemetery in the state it is. But you would recall, Norman, when we came to or even before, when we came to government in 2015 of May, you would have known the state of the cemetery. So, it predated It predated May 2015. And you would recall the many fights that former mayor of Georgetown, Mr. Hamilton Green, had to face off with the People's Progressive Party Civic when it comes to making funds available so that the municipality can really deliver the needed services to the people of Georgetown. So, fast track to 2015, between 2015 and 2020, we know for the fact that we had two local government elections, and the local authorities, they were able to execute their mandate without political interference, and this was without our money. So the coalition government, we believe in local democracy, and we not just believe it by mere words, but our actions, our actions by assisting the local authority areas to have monies made available, whether equipment, human resources through training. They had it under the coalition government. Now, back from 2020 to now, we see that since the return of the People's Progressive Party Civic, the city, for example, where I dwell most of my time, you see the state of the city, garbage shown here, there, and everywhere. The municipality is not getting the support from the government financially, or even if they get financial support from the government is actually mandating them how to use those monies. You understand me? Which it isn't supposed to be that way. So we had that motion passed successfully, and I hope that with the resolution now in place, that we would see, some transformation being done at the Lee Repentier Cemetery. So outside of the regular sitting, we also have um, committees of the National Assembly. Committees, that's where the hard work are normally done. You got the Public Accounts Committee. That committee hasn't met yet for the year, Norman. And you would know the Public Accounts Committee is a very critical committee because it actually reviews the spending of government expenditure for years. So, since the return of the People's Progressive Party Civic, can you imagine 5 years after we're still at 2019? We are still examining estimates or monies expended by the coalition government. So why is it that one, the People's Progressive Party Civic don't want the Public Accounts Committee to be held regularly? You know why? Because they don't want the committee to meet to 2020, 2021, and probably current, because they know exactly what we're likely to find in those reports, in the Auditor General reports and the examination of all the other expenditure of the government. So the committee hasn't been meeting. I think the only committee that is meeting on a regular basis might be the Social Services Committee. Just last week, I was told that they had a meeting. I am a member of the Committee on Appointments. That is also a critical committee that deals with the appointment of certain constitutional bodies, right? So the last we met as a committee, it was in 2023, if my memory serves me accurate. 2023 May. That was
Wow.
the last time we met. And you know why? We met, we agreed, because we had to do the reconstitution of the Rights of the Child Commission. Many of those commissions are actually expired or near to expiration. So, for the Rights of the Child Commission, we had to meet with the bodies that had to select their representative to sit on the commission. But where the trouble lies currently, Norman, is that the People's Progressive Party Civic, for the cluster youth body, the youth body met, they identify their person or their nominee that they would want to have sit on the committee. But what they did, Madam Gail Teixeira, who is the chairman of that committee, the Committee on Appointments, used her power, right, to probably intimidate and try to usurp the function of the youth cluster to identify a youth nominee who is a PPP. So, because of her not getting her way, because I must commend the young people and the person who had responsibility for putting the youth cluster together and managing things, I must commend the youth cluster for holding strong and holding to what the criterion had set out. So, because of her not getting her way, she has failed to call the committee on appointment so that we can look at the rights of the child, have that commission recommission. You have the Women and Gender Commission, that too, I think, has expired. So, this is what is happening. So, you got the Economic Service Committee, they're hardly meeting. You got the security, the committee on security. Can you imagine? That committee was never convened. And who has the responsibility of reconvening, of convening that committee? It is the Minister of Home Affairs, the Honorable Mr. Robeson Ben. But you know what? They do not want to be scrutinized because all that is happening in the Guyana Police Force, questions will be asked. All that is happening probably at the level of security within the country. So all these questions will be asked. So apparently, to avoid being scrutinized, to avoid transparency, to avoid accountability, that committee has not met. And I guess you have been following um, Kemraj, and he has been very vocal with regards to the reason for this committee not being established so it can do its work. So this is where we at, Norman, with regards to
And also
parliamentary.
the Natural Resource Fund. There's lots of problems there too, you know.
Well, yes, indeed, that is. Well, I must commend Dr. Terence Campbell for being very vocal um, with regards to how he sees things regarding the usage or the pillaging of our
Getting some.
of our natural resource fund. And Norman, let me make this fundamental point. And government, when the coalition, January of 2019, when we passed that natural resource fund um, bill in January of 2019, you would recall that part of that bill, we had set out in that bill a 23-member committee. And that 23-member committee, Norman, would have been able, with all the women organizations, would have met and nominate a nominee. The 10 administrative regions, every region would have met and nominate a nominee. Then you had the private sector, they would have met as a body too and nominate their nominee. But what the People's Progressive Party Civic recognized is that, well, look, this act is too transparent. So in order to, get rid of all this transparency and accountability that the coalition, that the Act of 2019 was seeking to address, what they did, Norman, when they came back into government in 2021, December 18 of 2021, what they did, they repealed and created a new act, Norman, with less personnel on the oversight committee. So what Dr. Campbell has been saying, because I think he's a member of the investment committee,
Yeah.
and by right, what all that he has been saying, he has been right. Because the investment committee supposed to be meeting collectively and to determine, I guess, based on what the government might propose as their priority projects, how they intend to have these projects funded. So, because of lack of transparency, and it seems as though the committee is being controlled by the executive, people got problems with Mr. Dr. Terence Campbell because of how vocal he has been and how outspoken he is with regards to the natural resource fund. So it's a lot of things that are happening in this country, the corruption, and it seems to me, Norman, that government, this government do not want to be held or to be held accountable, which
Yeah,
is quite an
totally agree with you there. Annette Ferguson, member of parliament, opposition member of parliament, on this program, speaking out, and you're hearing her. Annette, is so much happening. The PPP is messing, literally messing up. It appears as though they don't care anymore. It appears as though that their concern, their primary concern, and they're probably their only concern, is for themselves, their friends, their families and cronies. And we are seeing, the Guyanese people are seeing every day, every living day, that the PPP doesn't care. I want to ask you about the goal program. It's one of the biggest scandal at the moment. Education and all these things are very important things. Tell our viewers what the goal program is. Give them a background of it. Tell us what really happened there.
Okay, thank you, Norman. Well, Norman, I think leading up to the 2020 elections, we heard about scholarships, 20,000 scholarships will be granted to Guyanese citizens. So they came to government without a plan, I guess, or probably a plan in their head, how they're going to roll out this program. So here came the goal program, which means the Guyana Online Academy, the Guyana Online Academy, GOAL, right? Learning. Good. Guyana Online Academy Learning. So since the commissioning of this program, I think sometime in 2021, 2022, huge sums of monies have been pumped into this program. So you have I think Guyanese can now access their forms online and through the various universities that the government would have been able to collaborate with. They're offering programs, master's programs, degree programs, certificate programs, doctoral programs. So what you find happening, Norman, even before the outburst of what is being discovered presently, I have had many Guyanese reaching out to me concerning what is happening to the program. Assignments had to be submitted. Um, we call it lectures had to be done, and me they weren't getting chance to submit, and the lectures were not being done in a timely fashion. So what happened is that the government utilizing taxpayers' money to fund this program
Program,
last
yeah.
year for $4 billion. In this year budget, an additional $4 billion.
So
Now
that's
what?
$8 billion.
Well, $8 billion between 2024 and 2025.
2025, yeah.
Good. But I think 2023, I cannot remember what was the sum allocated for in
So it's
2023.
billions of dollars, though. It's billions of
It's,
dollars. Yeah.
and what we have been saying as an opposition, look, if you really want to help Guyanese citizens to get a university degree or diploma or certificate or master's, what you should be able to do is pump the monies that you're putting towards gold, because we don't know how effective are these programs and whether these programs really match the job market here in Guyana. Because it seems as though, as I said before, there was no proper thought process went into this thing. It's just that somebody decided they could collaborate with some friend in some place in India or somewhere else where they could make a money. You got a middleman who you're walking through, and you're
The
making your
Oslo,
percentage,
yes, yes, yes.
right? So what we have been arguing, the coalition, that the opposition, that is that the government should have used this money pump it into our premier university. You got Torkine and you got Tame. And if you really want to really build capacity in this country, you would have ensured that you get the experts to do a review of the programs that are being offered and see how best we can have new programs coming on stream. So Guyanese who want to really have a full-time study in the oil and gas industry, they don't have to go here, there, and everywhere or do a course through the gold program just to get a certificate, right? They could have been doing it right here at our premier
But
university.
we are hearing that if the certificate is fake and all of that now, we're hearing different things. Do you have an idea, like something about the Sheffield University in the UK, I think, and the talk to us. Go ahead, go ahead.
Apparently, students have started to complain about a university out in UK. And when further investigations were done, Norman, it was established that the university out of UK, they don't have no collaboration with the government here
Wow.
in, you understand me? But what you found, you have hundreds of persons, of students here in Guyana who would have already signed on to this program. Monies might have been paid. Well, since the university came out to say that they ain't got no relationship or arrangement with the government of Guyana. Well, who this money was paid to? Because if you claim that these students are doing programs online, then where has the monies gone? Where have the monies gone, Norman? And I think that is the big thing out there. But it is sad, Norman, to know that the ministry or the minister under whose responsibility this particular program falls under, she's very silent. And that's the Ministry of Education. So everybody's calling on Honorable Priya Manichan to come clean because this particular university, this particular thing looked like a scam. So rather than her coming out, who she put up in front? She put the director, who happened to be the former chancellor of the University of Guyana, Dr. Jacob Obadai. And I know that, he is saying one thing, he's saying something totally different from what the university in the UK is saying.
Saying.
And if the people say that, well, look, there is no collaboration, there's no arrangement with the government of Guyana and this university, then there is need for a thorough investigation to be done on this gold program because how many other universities that we don't know of that students might be experiencing similar fate as those who were doing the program through the University of UK. So Norman, everything for this
But
government
in the
is a scam.
meantime, the billions of dollars have been squandered.
Dollars. So we don't know. So nobody, and you know what I find funny is that you had the goodly man who turns up at his press conference every Thursday. Every Thursday, 4 hours, sometimes 5 hours, you got a presser for. And last week, Thursday, at his press conference last week, Thursday, I cannot recall him addressing this matter with regards to the gold program because it seems as though he is versed in everything and in every area. So he has to answer for all the ministries. So
Ministries,
I
yes.
don't know.
He is
Apparently,
all the ministries. He is all the ministries. You understand? Go ahead on it.
so it is very sad to know what is going to happen to these students now who would have wasted their time, their energy, had sleepless nights. Because once you're doing these programs online, and if you're doing it through a university in a foreign country, you know that UK, for instance, is between 5 to 6 hours ahead of Guyana time. You understand me? So you had to make the sacrifices, Norman, to be up late at night just to attend
Yeah,
classes.
yes, yes, yes. Uh,
So, who will compensate those students? How is this going to be treated? How is this going to be resolved when we know for a fact that this particular program through this particular university got major, major problems. The other thing, Norman, you know what Irfan Ali said when he addressed the National Assembly on October 10th, 2024. One of his announcements, he said, oh, all public servants, whether you got a degree, a diploma, a master's, or a PhD, you must submit your certificates. And every public servant will receive an allowance, right, for their studies. You know, many persons reach out to me complaining. So let's say, for instance, I have my first degree in social work, and I doing accountants or something in HR. So you said submit certificate. So I'm submitting my certificate. Lo and behold, Norman, students, Guyanese or no public servants are now being told that, oh no, your degree must complement what you are currently doing. So if you're a social worker, right, you can't submit a degree in public management. Your degree has to be submitted in social work. Or if you're a social worker and you have a master's, let's say probably in accountancy or HR, you will not be paid for the master's program because you know why? Your master's got to be in the field of social work. So this gangsterism, this this betrayal, this deception attitude of the People's Progressive Party civic is not going down. You know what is their problem? And I already, I analyze them. I've been analyzing them a while. They believe that all guys like money. People like money. So you put a thing out there, a catch out there, and they know that Guyanese are going to gravitate. You're giving a 10,000 for something, they know that all Guyanese will gravitate just to get that 10,000. Why? Why are you putting Guyanese through these things? You would have seen what is happening with the 100,000 cash grant, Norman. When we asked in the National Assembly, because it was on this very day, the 10th day of October 2024, when Irfan announced that every household, first was household, will get $200,000.
200,000.
Instantaneously, 200,000. Then hours after, who came out? Barrett came out to say, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, not 200,000, not every household, right? It will go to Guyanese. So the goalpost started to shift.
Shift,
Then we
yeah.
up. We heard about the voters list. We heard about XYZ and all manner of things, Norman. All that the opposition was saying, look, this particular cash grant, this 100,000 initiative should be done in a structured way, right? One,
But the thing was bare confusion. It is bare confusion at the moment. Go ahead.
and still is Norma, because many times every day people are reaching out to me, inboxing me. Well, I registered before, was out of the jurisdiction. I only came back yesterday, but my area has been serviced. Where can I go and uplift my cash grant, my 100,000 check? uh, that information is not in the public. How the government intend to deal with how the government intend to deal with such situation. You have people, Norman, who registered since November, December
Yeah.
of 2024, and up to this day, they haven't collected their check. Whether in the area that the checks were being distributed, whether at the Ministry of Education or whether at the schools, these things are not clear to our people. So the chaos and the confusion, Norma, they were all created not by the opposition, because the opposition was very, very clear to the government. Use the people bank account. Have the monies deposited to the people's bank account. If that process was followed, Norman, we would not have been seeing the chaos at many of the distribution or the registration sites. So who to be blamed? Nobody but the People's Progressive Party Civic.
But the People's Progressive Party said, Member of Parliament Annette Ferguson on fire here. On fire here, she's speaking out. The corrupt PPP is being exposed here tonight. Annette, before I ask you about a bit about housing, because I think you were a housing minister under the coalition government. And I want you to talk to us about that because I hear is so much problems existing there. People thieving in that government. Every facet of that government is corruption. 99% is corruption, and so I want you to deal with that. But look, and we saw May's primary school being burned to the ground. And there's been a sad situation where a young man, 27-year-old young fireman, who would have put his life at risk
Yeah.
put his life at risk. Unfortunately, a wall fell while he was trying to save people in that building, and he was injured. Across the world, in situations like those, when such bravery is exercised, and then something like that happens, the young man is hospitalized. The government, the president of those countries would right away visit that brave worker, and offer whatever help and pledge whatever support and say this is what this country is about. It's about bravery, risking our lives um, to save people and so on. Anywhere around the world, we understand that that young man, his name is Vashon Manboud,
Yeah.
was taken to the Georgetown Public Hospital, and the treatment there was horrendous. The neglect was glaring. It was so heartbreaking when I heard the story and got to think about what has happened to him, got the information about what has happened to him. This is complete neglect at the government's public hospital. Georgia Public Hospital is what it is. But the thing is, Annette, is that he was neglected. He was treated badly. There seemed to have been no professionals there to deal with the trauma he was going through, or anything, And he died a few days later. He died. We understand that he fell off a bed and hit his head, and they did not even the hospital did not even tell the family about that. But it was a catalyst of bad errors, by the hospital. But the thing is, Annette, is that the government was made aware of the situation under the management and administration of that hospital,
Hospital.
and nothing has been done. Pregnant women were going in there and dying in the droves. The child's birth is not an illness. It's a natural thing. It's a natural thing, and they go
Yes.
in there and they die. We hear stories of people going in there with colds and flus and so on, and not surviving. The government seems to have done nothing about that. In correcting that situation at a government national hospital. We know that there are new hospitals being would have been built in Guyana for the rich in a rich economy, state of the art hospitals. I understand owned by people in the government and friends overseas. It's a business. It's a business going on. Talk to us a bit about that situation before you go to housing.
Yes, Norman, we all heard, saw, and read of the unfortunate fire there at May's private school. And we were thankful that there were no casualties, students and pupils, educators, or parents did not suffer as a result of that fire. But as a Guyanese, I cannot recall reading or seeing a report of injured firefighters. Their names were not released to the public. So this thing happened Thursday. Apparently, the young man was in there with his fellow colleagues very Thursday. They were, based on reports that I've read, that they were attended to and eventually discharged. So he was in there from Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think probably died sometime yesterday. And when that news hit the public domain, I guess you would have seen different ones. I too had my piece to say on the social media platform, right? Because I believe that Guyanese were deceived. But we must compliment or commend their family, his mother, whomever they be, for detailing or giving a clear chronological account of what really transpired from the time he was admitted into hospital. It was really dreadful to read that account. But in the midst of their mourning, in the midst of their loss, um, Norman, they were able to compose themselves and put out a well articulated statement out there so that the public can really have an imagery of what really took place where this particular incident is concerned. Quite unfortunate, and I know the mother very well, so I want to publicly once again, I spoke with her last evening, so publicly once again, I want to extend my condolences to Dion Anderson and the entire family. Norman, I cannot understand that in 21st century Guyana, us being an oil economy, billions, I'm trying to remember
You
if it's
you
a
you
hundred.
said you said Dion Anderson. You meant Voshan Manbud, or is
No, his mom,
his
the
mom is
deceased
Dion
mom.
Anderson? Oh, okay. Go
Yeah,
ahead. Go, yeah. Go ahead. I didn't get that. Go ahead.
I spoke with her last night, right? Because it's a friend of mine. So the point I am making here, or I was about to make, is this. I cannot recall whether it's 120 something billion dollars has been allocated to the Ministry of Health through the 2025 budget. So from 2020 to now, Norman, the parliament, the people of Ghana, taxpayers' money were approved to ensure that, well, look, proper health care is given to our people of this country, that we would have seen some kind of improvement in the health sector. But you know where we're seeing these improvements, Norman? 6 or 12 hospitals. I don't know where they're gonna get the human resources to put in those hospitals when Guyanese health workers are leaving in droves for greener pastures, whether to Europe, to the Caribbean, or to North America, leaving in droves. But you're boasting about building 12 brand new hospitals that will, state of the art hospitals, when the very monies that you are utilizing, Norman, you could have pumped those monies into our primary healthcare
Care
cities.
system. Yeah,
So
exactly,
so
exactly.
you got health centers around this country that at least you could have moved them, whether I don't know what level they're at now, but move them up to a higher level. So you got 24-hour service being provided at these health facilities, because you might got somebody living 10 in Buxton taking midnight By the time that person is
So
rushed to Georgetown,
where are all these billions of dollars going? You said it's billions and billions allocated
they,
for health, and look at the Georgetown Public Hospital complex.
so
Go
you
ahead.
still got mothers who are pregnant, probably still sharing. You got double patients on a bed. In 21st century Ghana and in an oil economy. Norman, several months ago, I was called out from my home. A family of mine took in, was rushed to the Georgetown Public Hospital emergency. When I got there, this boy was in pain. He wasn't getting to breathe properly. I know I had to, butter up the health workers there and ask them to attend to this young man, please, because we don't know when he was going to pass or because that's how he was operating. While I was there, I had conversation with patients who said to me that they have been there since the morning, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock till 11 o'clock at night. So something is definitely wrong. Mismanagement, incompetence, poor, poor services are being rendered to our Guyanese people. But no, you know what you got happening now, Norman? Everything is sheriff. If you got to do a little implanting here, I see the advertising implanting here. They're doing implanting this, implanting that. Why Georgia Hospital can't do these things? Why the public facilities cannot do these things, Norman? So am I to assume that taxpayers' money are actually being
Billions
pumped
of dollars of taxpayers' money. Billions.
into these private hospitals like Sheriff? You understand me? Like Sheriff. Where the ordinary Guyanese now can go to Georgetown Public Hospital, get proper service, but they're now forced to go to these private hospitals, such as Sheriff Hospital, to get services. The other thing, Norman, medication. Simple medication, simple Panadol, simple aspirin. People cannot get when they go to the Georgetown Hospital. But yet, the people of Guyana, the taxpayers, monies are being used, Norman, to procure drugs for Guyanese. But when you go to the pharmacies at these public facilities, you cannot get basic, basic, basic medication. So what you have to do now, Norman, is go to the private pharmacies where you gotta pay more when you know you could have gotten these drugs free of charge or free of cost from the public um, health institutions. So something is definitely wrong. And I cannot, Norman, you use a word, the thiefing, and I will agree with you.
Yes,
I believe
yes.
our money because I can tell you just a couple of weeks ago or a couple of days ago, a very, very long standing public servant. I wouldn't identify the ministry, I wouldn't give no identity, had an engagement with me. Oh, Minister Ferguson, the thieving. I never see corruption like this. I never see corruption like this. So Norman, the people are talking. Guyanese are fed up with the PPP. Guyanese know that they ain't getting proper health services, they ain't getting proper housing services, they ain't getting proper education services, social services, no proper services they're not getting. So Norman, I now move to the housing sector. And I want to, and I'm happy for programs like these, where I can reinforce, re-emphasize, and remind the Guyanese that this woman, Ferguson, didn't serve as the Minister of Housing from May 2015 to August 2020. I became Minister with responsibility for housing in April.
For housing and water.
Yeah, in April of 2019. In April of 2019. all the other years, I served under Minister Patterson at the Ministry of Public Infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
Some people who are very malicious and who like to be strife makers would go out there and say, oh, Ferguson never did anything in the housing sector. Well, Ferguson likes to speak the truth and like to have her name clear. So when I went to housing, you know that even before I went to housing, I never knew that housing was in such a terrible state until I got there. But I had my predecessors, Minister Valerie Patterson and Keith Scott, who served as the two previous ministers before I got there. And I know they did a fantastic job under the circumstances because we hadn't had money. Norman, that's one. Secondly, they, as a ministry, the Ministry of Housing and Water never get a cent from the consolidated funds. You know why? Because you have the housing fund with billions of dollars. And Minister Jordan said, utilize the money. We all got the money, where you building up the monies for. Utilize the monies from the housing funds to do the housing projects. So that majority of the projects that we did through the Central Housing and Planning Authority was from the housing fund and not funds coming from the consolidated funds or the contingency fund. It's when housing got money. Housing got money, I think, was in um, May of 29. I'm trying to remember. I think it was either April, May of 2019 or something to that effect. And those monies basically, Norman, was to pay for lands that Central Housing and Planning Authority was able to get from Lands and Survey and Gaisuku. So I just want to underscore that point that despite our challenges and the constraints and the circumstances the coalition um, faced while in government, we were able to do tremendous work in the housing sector without any oil money. Now fast track to 2020 to 2025 normal. Let me tell you something. Corruption, corruption. I got evidence from the ministers right down who were involved in corruption. There was one young man who got an allocation on the east coast of Demerara, and those lands there are not fully ready. And you know what they did? How the guy was so desperate. You had the CEO, along with middlemen, who took $2 million from that young man. Imagine he paid 700,000 for this land on the east coast of Demerara. I know what I'm talking because I have the evidence, right? And he paid $1 million not and was given a receipt. The receipt is not CHMPA receipt. The receipt is a private company receipt. You hear I telling you, Norman? Norman, just last week, a young man reached out to me. He said, Minister Ferguson, I waited over 19 years for my land. Finally got a land on the east bank of Demerara. Got his title to the land. Received his agreement of sale for the land. Was called after a year, called sometime early this year, he was called. So he probably got the land sometime in 2024. But in January 2025, he was called, not by the CEO, not by the minister, not by the director of land allocation and these senior or middle managers. He was called by ordinary employees of CHMPA to meet him or to meet them at a strategic point. The guy eventually went there with, in the company of a friend, and they said to him, two employees, and I know which department they're from, and I have their names, reached the guy with his accompanying friend and said to the guy, "Oh, this land is not your land. You get the wrong land." And telling the boy that the land now belongs to this gentleman. Now, you see what is happening, Norman? You see the corruption, what is happening, and the land happens to be an end land, and you know the demand for end land is high in this country because with an end land, you can do so many things, open a business and all kind of thing. So I said to the young man, that kind of arrangement is an untidy arrangement, and you will not give up any land. Once you get a call from the minister, you ain't get a call from the director of land allocation. They ain't got no junior staff or ordinary staff could call you and say to you that the land is not your land. Did you receive a formal letter from the CHNPA? No, Minister Ferguson. So the corruption is glaring. It is glaring. More than one persons are now accessing house lots, right? So you got, oh no, or what should I say? One person or many house lots actually are being given to one person.
One
This is
person.
what,
Wow.
that is why we have so many Guyanese who are still waiting years upon years for a piece of land to build their dream home. Norman, let me tell you this, the government boasting about giving out 41,000 plus house lots as at January 31st, 2025 is far from the truth. And I'm on record calling on Colin Kroll for an audit and to make the information available. One, where these 41,000 plus house lots are, where these new housing schemes are. Because you know what, Norman? You still got people with 2007 acknowledgement letters, with 2011, 2000, 2001, and you're saying that 41,000 plus house lots were issued out when you got many hundreds, if possible, thousands of Guyanese still waiting for a call from the Ministry of Housing. The other issue on the housing and the one, I might have seen people complaining about the water that is flowing through their
Wow.
taps. On between 2020 to now, the water sector, and I'm sorry that I don't have my figures, but I can remember, some off my head. Billions, Norman, billions of dollars last year alone. The water sector got in excess of 70 billion Guyana dollars to do work, Norman. And why is it? You're talking about all these plants you're putting in, you're talking about treating the water, you're talking about addressing the flow of water, and people still getting red water, muddy water coming through their taps in 21st century Ghana. So where the money is going, Norman? Where are the monies going? You would remember, Norman, under the coalition government, rationing of water was a thing of the past. Before May 2015, people weren't enjoying 24 hours water flow, 24/7 water flowing through their taps. You understand me? Soon as you wake up 6 o'clock in the morning, water, you turn on the tap, water flowing. You see by 9 o'clock, water gone till 12 midday. It ain't coming back till 5 in the afternoon. That was happening pre-May 2015 without oil money, yeah? When we came in without oil money, Norman, we in ration water. People weren't complaining about red water flowing through their taps because the iron content was being addressed. You had water flowing through your taps 24/7. There was no rationing of water under the coalition government. Fast track from 2020 to 2025. When you got more monies to play with, right? When you have in an oil economy,
Yeah.
and still you gone back to the old way of doing things. Your
Yeah, but
rationing
there's
water.
more blackouts than anything else in Guyana in an oil-rich economy at the moment.
It's normal. So it is clearly saying to me and to the people of this country, this government, this People's Progressive Party, they're incapable of managing the affairs of our economy. What I know they're capable of is thieving good and siphoning off our monies to satisfy their personal needs, that of their friends, their families, and favorites at the expense of ordinary Guyanese in this country. So this is what happened in Guyana, where
We
where
hear on Voice of the Diaspora, member of the National Assembly, the Honorable Annette Ferguson, on fire here this evening. As you guys can see, I'm not saying anything much. I am giving the opposition a latitude to tell this country, to tell the Guyanese people at home and abroad what is really happening under this regime. And we all know that this regime is a wicked regime. You can say a lot about the opposition, but the opposition is not the evil. It is not the evil. We are seeing a regime, but today we are seeing Barajagdio against the ropes, Annette. We are seeing Barajagdio, who is the PPP in its entirety. Everyone else is a surrogate of Barajagdio in that government. Everyone in that government is a surrogate of Barajagdio. And he is losing grip. We are seeing that he is losing grip. But I am wondering on it if the grip that he is losing will benefit the major opposition party or it will benefit others. So I want to delve straight into your thoughts on the prospects of the opposition triumphing at the upcoming national and regional elections. I want us to talk about your view about what is happening now. Many of us have complained that the present leadership of the opposition would not have gained any victory in any sorts. Biometrics, a clean voters list, mobilizing the base, uniting the party, so many things that would have prepared us, that will prepare us to triumph at the national elections and remove the PPP. Those things were not dealt with, and we did not correct them. We did not ensure that the house was put in order. But in your opinion, I want you to I want you to give us your view, honest and frank view, about what is happening now, and also what can be done. What can be done at this juncture to put our house in order to triumph at the polls?
all right, good, Norman. Even before I go to the prospects of the opposition winning the elections, can you give me 2 minutes just to bring something to the attention of your viewers that really went from me with under the
Certainly,
housing ministry?
certainly, certainly.
You know, you keep hearing, I guess you heard about the situation involving the CEO who tendered his resignation for some unjustifiable reason, I don't know. And also Ed Ahmad, with these land deals. You know, I remember, Norman, asking a few, no, let me put it this way. When the government changed and you had the Hero Highway, the Mandela Eccles 4-lane expansion road, once you got road, the lands parallel to those roads would eventually develop. And I reckon that particular area, I recall, was privately owned by De Vera, called the Houston Estate. I don't know if you're familiar with that area, right? Houston Estate, because I think they used to cultivate um, sugar, right? They used to cultivate sugar cane and so forth. So apparently, when the government changed, for some reason, like some of the lands were sold, or some lands went back to the government. So I remember observing certain activities on these lands, and I can't recall seeing an advertisement. So I decided that I was going to put a few questions in the National Assembly to get answers, whether the lands the government was able to reclaim lands from the Vera, and if so, the acreage, and whether they started to sell out what they would have reclaimed, and at what cost, and all kind of thing. Transparency, holding the government accountable. But for the life of me, Norman, the speaker, who is, I always classify him as the gatekeeper, because he protects the ministers of the government, and believes that the opposition members, we're his children, so he could treat us anyhow, right? So the questions that I put in the National Assembly to Colin Crowell, the speaker did not allow them to go through, because he's now asking me to submit evidence. No, it's not for me to submit
For the
evidence.
sake of the viewers, who's Colin Crowell?
Colin Crowell is the Minister of Housing and Water, right?
Right.
So it is not until, and these questions were submitted since March, exactly this month, 1 year since those questions were submitted. So they were disallowed, they were not allowed. So when this whole burst out with Greaves, the CEO, and Ed Ahmad, then this thing, I get a knee jerk. I say, oh yes, I remember asking certain questions on this Houston land, right? So you give one man, Norman, all these acres of land to do what? That he only get it in Georgetown. He got lands on in Region 9, prime location to do what? So the point I want to raise here on your program is that even though we wouldn't be getting or seeing any investigation of any sort to know the truth behind how Greaves acquired what he acquired, and how Ahmad came about all these lands that he got, you would recall that when we came to government in 2015, we had a forensic audit was done on the Central Housing and Planning Authority. And on page 11, quickly, it will
Take
show
your
you
time.
what
Take your time.
it will show you. It will tell you, Norman, this report is an eye opener. This report is an eye opener. This report did, remember, the elections of 2015 was May 11th, right? 2015. You had on the 15th, yeah, 15 days, 4 days after the elections, the government under Irfan Ali as Minister of Housing sold 15 acres of land to some Navigat Buildings Inc. Then, on the 6th of May 2015, some 5 days before the elections of 2015, Queensway Housing Development got 12.50 acres of land. And I can go on and on, but you know what? The point I want to make here, um, Norman, this government has no intention of making Guyanese real home owners.
Owners.
They believe in selling off all of these lands in acres to their friends, to their families, and to their favorites, because 1 acre of land is equal to 5 house lots. And you got Barra Jagdeo living on 2 acres. So he living on 10 house lots
That's
there in Spanish.
wow.
The report, the forensic report on the Sparndam housing project revealed all the corrupt practices. That is why the 19 fraud charges were brought against Irfan Ali. Right? So, Norman, what they were doing back then, they're selling these lands in acres, right? To their friends at peanut cost per acre. Some paid 9 million, some paid 7 million, some paid 6 point something million per acre. So what you find happening, Norman, is that these very developers, friends of the PPP, when they get the 15 acres, they're building many houses. Because 15 acres could give you about 75 houses, right? So if you pay 15, if you pay 135 million for the 15 acres of land and you build 75 houses and you sell them back at 30, let me say 30 to 35, $40 million, you see how much profit, you saw your profit margin, right? You see how your profit margin, right?
It's a
And who
hustle.
good and who going and buy these houses? It's not the ordinary Guyanese. Come with the ordinary Guyanese. What the public servant will find $13 million. So it's the rich will all time be benefited. And the Central Housing and Planning Authority was never created. When the act was formed in 1948, it was never created, Norman, for the rich and the famous to be benefiting from house lots. It was for the working class of people. So you get in a businessman, as I said, I just shared the amount of money he paid for the 20, for the 15 acres. So you know what happened there? As I said, he probably built 7 to 5 houses, fancy houses, and he made a wide or a huge margin where his profit is concerned. So to answer your question now, Norman, with regards to the prospects of the opposition winning government. Norman, I believe we can win the government. We can win the elections of 2025. I believe so. Why am I saying this, Norman? I am saying this because I know I dep on the ground, I just interface with people, whether in the churches, in the marketplaces, wherever I go, people always engage me. People are fed up with the People's Progressive Party civic. I don't know Mr. Mohammed, but I saw a video yesterday coming out from Lima. And one young man who
Lima
was,
Sans.
yeah, Lima Sands, one young man who was leading that charge, when he asked the question, do you want change? You see the high praises of yes. People are fed up of the People's Progressive Party civic. So I believe once we, as an opposition, can get our act together, we can unite as one and face the common enemy called the People's Progressive Party civic. Believe you me, this will be a smooth sailing for us because, as I said before, I doubt it. I'm meeting different ones. And I'm saying to you, they too are saying to me, y'all need to get your act together. Get your act together. Y'all got
But
this thing in y'all.
would you say that the act is together currently? And if it isn't together currently, what are some of the methods that must be adopted to ensure that we have a fair shot at winning the elections? And I want us to discuss this, and I want you to be very frank because it's the future of the party and the future of Guyana is at stake. We cannot continue along the trajectory of what the PPP is doing to Guyana, and traditionally we know that it is the PNC along with its coalition that will be the answer to the PPP. We see a new dimension emerging in which Mr. Mohammed, you can't take him lightly anymore. You can't look at him as insignificant anymore. He is in the PPP stronghold and somewhat in the PNC stronghold. and firing up people, and he hasn't even announced his candidacy yet. So I want us to talk frankly, because I know that you speak frankly. Whatever we say here is in the interest of the PNCR. Let me say this, and let me be very brief, because it's your program. I am doing everything in my power. Everything in my power. I have been doing and still doing to see the PNC and its coalition partners come together, triumph, and remove the People's Progressive Party. This platform has the ability to ensure that happens regardless of anything else. And there are other platforms that have not identified with the PNC but have been fighting against the PPP, which is beneficial to the PNCR and its coalition, its potential coalition partners, because there's gridlock at the moment. Its potential coalition partners. And do you understand the work we have to do? The work we have to do that we have not started doing to remove the PPP. 1 second, at the polls. Let me say this to you. My passion is so powerful that I want to do any and everything to see the PPP removed and to see the coalition in office. But I've reached a point as a long-standing PNCR supporter and activist. I've reached a point in which I'm saying that I could walk away from the PNCR tomorrow and join up with the ALP or with Mohammed or anybody to save Guyana. I have said, and it is published in the national newspapers today, that unless we have a consensus presidential candidate, the like of Terence Campbell, at this short time, we are not winning any elections. We're not winning any elections. I am saying that. And anybody in the PNC who run away with the idea that in the present confabulation that they can run with the leader and win an election wants to destroy Burnham's party. Give me a minute, because this is your program. I love the PNC because I love False Burnham. The PNC is a historically great party. Had its ups and downs, made its mistakes, but it has been a bastion of representation for the masses. And it has been, from time immemorial, the opposition to the wicked and vicious rule of the PPP historically and recently. I can't say now. I can't say now, Annette. And I'm saying this to you. I'm saying this to you. Anybody that loves the PNC and wants to see a better Guyana and stands up and say that we're going with the present confabulation and its leadership into national elections wants the PPP or someone else to win the elections and wants to keep us in opposition in an oil-rich economy where the PPP is destroying the right for our people to inherit and share in the nation's patrimony. We have to face reality. You can't keep a bingo and a barbecue at Congress Place to raise funds to fight these elections. My work, I am begging people right now on this platform after 20-something years to donate to this program so I could make it into a news entity, so I could build it to a CNN, BBC type of thing for these elections, so that I can take myself to America and speak to thousands like Edgel and them going and do at the moment. We're doing nothing. People going to America and talking to 10 and 25 people. Don't know how to bring the masses of our people together in one place. Don't know how to lobby to ensure that we have what it takes to confront this regime and triumph at the national elections. I am begging people here so that I can have two young people that can go around Guyana with a camera, with a proper mobile phone, in possession of two Apple Mac, to bring the news, voice of the diaspora, grapevine news style. Daily. It calls for money. The PPP, Barra Jagdeo, said he is going to fund social media activists. I said, I'd rather die than take anything from you, but I want it from my people. I want the program to be built. I want the latitude to do what I have to do as an activist, to push back the PPP, because a lot of us are not doing enough, and you are not one of them. You are passionate, you're working hard in the given circumstances, because I know you have been sidelined. And with the passion and love for your party, regardless of being sidelined, you are standing here and you're sitting here on this platform that is growing tremendously by the hour, not by the day, by the hour. It is growing tremendously. I have to bet we don't have money in the opposition. We have the will, we have the wherewithal, we have everything else. We don't have money to do what we ought to do. The possibilities that exist are limited. You understand? And we have to start supporting each other. Black people have a problem with those who sacrifice for them. And so I had to take the time to say to my viewers, I don't want no money to buy food or a new glasses or to live somewhere. I don't want it. I want it for this program to become better than NCN and the propaganda programs that the PPP is pouring their money into. If our people can support programs like this, donate to Norman Brown's program, donate to Shera, donate to Mark, donate to Rickford, for these elections, we can do the job. But our people, some of them. And so I said to Jagdeo and all of them, I would never compromise my integrity and the love of my people to accept good money from you that could change my life. I rather beg my own. But we cannot win this struggle. I feel constrained sometimes. I feel like Rihanna did a song, it's a very ghost-like song, where she's literally tied in chains in a furnace, a dungeon, and she wants to get out. I feel that I have so much to give, but we ain't got the money to do what we got to do. But we know that our people got that money. And if they give in the small amounts and the large amounts, and our rich businessmen and our rich men that made money from the coalition, sitting on it and all that kinds of stuff, if they can support, and I'm not saying all these platforms, I'm talking about this platform, because I want it to grow. I want it to give you the weekly news, and before the election, the daily news. I want to give the country voice of the diaspora and grapevine news in a high way, because I know we have the ability to trample and mash the PPP more than some of us who's sitting in the opposition and doing nothing, hoping to stay as opposition leader and don't give a damn if the government wins 20 times over. Annette Fergusion, member of the National Assembly here on Voice of the Diaspora. I'm not begging for me. I'm begging because we have an elections to win. I'm saying this and I shall repeat it. It's in the national newspapers today. In the Starbrook News, in the national newspaper Star. I don't know if it's in the Kaichur News. I haven't seen the Kaichur News yet. But I have said that if we can't find Terence Campbell and put him there, Terence Campbell could overnight, if the elections are called in July, the 28th of July, Terence Campbell, a prominent businessman and a man who loves us, a man who done more than the opposition in exposing the Natural Resource Fund, a man who can reach to Indians and to major businessmen across the world, a man who has love and vision, a man who turned down the PPP, who recognizes value. He turned them down on a matter of principle by telling them I can't be a prime ministerial candidate because it will undermine my principle. This is a man with humility. This is a man that tomorrow can strategize, if he becomes the presidential candidate, to bring millions and millions of dollars and stand there to take us into a victory. You're going to tell me that James McAllister and Sherwood Lowe and all these little opportunities that are being promised positions in a government that may never happen, that they are undermining the struggle and the work? Let me say this to our people. I spent 20-something years fighting this struggle without asking for anything. I've given my time and my resources. I'm giving it now. You know how much money I got paid a month for this program? And I'm saying it now that we need love. And that love must come in finances. And it must come to your brother, because your brother is ready to break away from the chains, because I feel and I see where this thing is heading. We must fight for Dr. Terence Campbell. We must ask the opposition and the AFC and everybody to make good judgment prevail. I'm sorry I had to make this point. It is your program, and I will allow you now to talk. But I want you to talk. I want you to talk to us. So, Annette, let me say this to you. I know your struggles, and I know where your heart is. And I'm going to say to the viewers, because the platform it has gone wild. I'll say this to our viewers. Because you have your courage of conviction, because you believe in the struggle, because you believe in the PNC, you've been sidelined. And you've been sidelined by someone who doesn't really believe in the longevity of the PNC as a ruling party. Many have said to me behind the scene that some people would be comfortable to sit as opposition leader for the next 35 years. You know what I'm saying to you? We cannot afford to allow that to happen. And when you got 30 and 40 people vocal on social media and jumping around the place and saying, oh God, and attacking people go to women on International Women's Day, went to Congress Place and were vehemently attacked. And just give me a second, and I carry the burden of guilt for fighting to put someone there that has turned on us. I have no reason not to speak my truths. The PNC must be saved. And history will not be kind to any leader at this present time that dash the chances of us winning these elections when we are geared to win them, if we do the right things. Viewers and subscribers on YouTube and Facebook, thank you so much. And I had to express this next to my revolutionary friend Annette Ferguson because I know her struggles. She doesn't come out and say it because she loves the party, but they treated her like a dog. She didn't deserve it. You were saying to y'all on this program. She didn't deserve it. It's my sister, my friend. We fall out sometimes. You understand? But I know her heart. I know her heart. But I'm saying this to us because this is what this program is about. This sister loves the PNC more than a lot of people. You could say what you want to say about her, but her heart is in the right place. You're tuned to Voice of Diaspora. On this program this evening is member of the National Assembly, Annette Ferguson, who is also an opposition figure. PNCR all the way, PNCR all the way. She's taken the time to come on this program to talk to us. Annette, talk to us and be very frank
Yes,
about what is
but I'm
happening. Go ahead.
Frank, you know. But even before I share, I hear you, I feel you, and I know you mean well for the People's National Congress reform, because that's the party that many people look for hope, for hope, right? And I want to thank you, Norman, for all that you have been doing through your platform here. And like you have said it for me, but I will repeat it nevertheless. I like the People's National Congress reform. And if you would permit me, Norman, to go to give a little a brief background and then, come back to what you asked me here.
Yeah, go ahead. But you
Okay.
need to talk to us tonight about the PNC and what is happening and how we can win these national
Yeah.
elections. Go ahead.
First, yeah, you first must be able to understand who Annette Ferguson is. Annette Ferguson is not an individual who looking for fame, who looking for riches. No, no, no. I have a heart of compassion, a heart of love for the people of Guyana. Norman, when I left school, my first place of employment was the Guyana Post Office Corporation. I started as a clerk too. My promotions used to come wop, wop, wop. I never held one position 5 years or more than 4 years. When I left as properties manager, responsible for all the assets, all the estates of that corporation, and I left with an unblemished record. You know who could say if he really wants to talk the truth about me? That same Bishop Edghill. Because he was the chairman during my time at the Ghana Post Office Corporation. So he knows Ferguson well, right? Norman, when my mother was a member of the People's National Congress Reform, a member of the board Alberton Group, and every Tuesday night, she used to hold my hand and me she going up to the group meeting. Tell the people, tell the members, they make me the secretary of the group. But I went off and I did my studies at the university. That's to show you how I love the People's National Congress reform. But I had a secular job because I was more on the career path of my life until I got an opportunity to become a member of parliament in 2011. I didn't ask to become a member of parliament. People had to see some worth in me that give me the opportunity to serve at the highest level. And I think I've made my contributions well. But when I started getting bad name, when I became Minister of Housing, right? That's where the bad name started. But as a woman who speaks truth to power, I will forever represent my good name. My good name My family name, Annette Natasha Ferguson.
Let's talk about the current confabulation and our prospects of winning the national elections, Annette. And I want you to speak your mind, and I want you to register for the sake of posterity here. It is important that we speak frankly to the people of our country without any feelings that we would be, looked at in a certain way or criticized or cursed out or even sidelined. This is a struggle. This is a struggle. Let me say this, and I'm saying it again. I will not dedicate my energies to the PNCR after the 31st of March if a decision is not made on a presidential candidate. Look, I'm looking at it right now, Annette. Look, PNCR AFC coalition talks progress, but presidential candidate disagreement poses major hurdle. That's the village voice. The village voice cares because everybody knows that the presidential candidate is what will save the PNC. It is the presidential candidate because the PNC under this new confabulation, relatively new confabulation, did not have a single victory against the PPP, and people are disappointed. This PNCR was not able to unite its house. This PNCR, under its current leadership, saw people walking away. They have a few vocal people that jump up and shout, oh, they're traitors, they're this, they're that. It is your leadership. It is your leadership. Let's call a spade a spade. It is your leadership that is causing people to walk away. And you cannot win any elections. You don't dare to say you're going there as a presidential candidate because you will be seen as an underminer and an enemy of the party in its leadership within the party. This is
All
a
right, now
serious struggle. This is a serious... Annette, this is a... Go ahead.
I
Go ahead.
I hear Norman.
Talk to me.
Norman,
Talk to me, man. It's a serious program. Talk to me.
to you. Norman, you know the call for the call of the combined opposition, right? And I know the PNC has been leading the charge from the get-go. It's for a clean voters list. That's one. A clean voters list. They're calling for biometrics. They're calling for, I think also, call it sing to go, right? So that is the demand of the People's National Congress reform. And I believe, Norman, once we get a clean voters list, once we get a clean voters list, the coalition can win any elections with a clean voters list outrightfully, right? So that's what I want to get out of the way. But even before I go to, the presidential candidate and the prospects of us winning, you would recall, Norman, in 2019, under the leadership of President David Granger, we had started the house-to-house registration leading up to the March 2020 election because we realized that the list was the problem. The list was the problem. The same man who don't want to support a clean voters list and a biometric system for the election, that was the same man after the 2015 elections who said that you need a clean voters list and biometrics. Steve Surich must go since they had no confidence in him. Norman, it seemed to me that you have more information than I, even though I'm a member of the People's National Congress Reform, even though I'm a member of the People's National Congress Reform, I don't sit at the decision-making table. So many things, Norman, and I want you to respect my position here.
Yes, yes, yes.
Many I would not be privy to, Norman. All that I can say to you, Norman, I heard just like you, read just like you, and many other guys, that the leader of the PNCR, leader of the opposition, made a public statement many months ago that if there's need for a consensus candidate, he is willing he is willing to, step aside. But that consensus candidate, based on what I read, my understanding, go, is that that person must come from the People's National Congress reform. Norman, to say whether that process of identifying a possible a consensus candidate, I cannot. I'm not at liberty to share with you and your viewers on this platform whether that process has commenced. Just what you shared here that was carried by Village Voice earlier, I read the same thing. Yes, that there's disagreement with the presidential candidate. I think we still got days to go because the nation was told that by the 31st of March, we would have something coming out. Probably, collectively we will be hearing from all parties. So
Yeah.
today's the 10th day. So Norman, let not your heart be troubled. We got 21 more days to
I'll
go.
tell you why my heart is troubled quickly. I'll tell you why my heart is troubled. Because I believe that some people are disingenuous. They are disingenuous. And I'll tell you why. Because they can say something for the public to feel, oh, yeah, it sounds good. But deep in their hearts, their manipulation and intention is different. It is totally different. We are at a point in which there are changes in the political culture in Ghana, Annette. We have Azruddin Mohammed and everybody rising up and getting real support, real support. When I reach a point in which I say I'm going to walk away after the 31st of March, I mean it. I literally mean it. I don't want to. But I'm not going to fight with all my energies to lose badly and to lose sorely. And this is where it is at the moment. And I'm saying this to you. I'm saying this to you. Robert Corbyn did it and saved the PNCR and made us go into government after 23 years. It is 23 years we spent outside of government, Annette, because of this same culture and behavior. And Robert became selfless. And Robert said, let's have a coalition. I'll step aside. The pressure's down on me. I must respect the people. And we won an elections. Our people in government, in the coalition government, made tremendous mistakes. But the coalition government was a majestic and wonderful government in terms of governance, right? They made mistakes. We lost power because of international interference, and we are on the verge of gaining power again because the world is fed up. The Guyanese people across the world, they are fed up of the PPP. They're ready to remove the PPP, but they need to know that the replacement will serve their interests. That's all I'm saying. Annette Ferguson seems to have fallen off the program. I don't know what is happening, but she's not here. And so, viewers, you're here on Voice of the Diaspora. It's a bit hot, but this is the conversation. This is the conversation we must have. This is the conversation that we must engage in. We must engage in it. And I'm not going to not engage in it. Whoever want to say I have a problem with anybody, I have a love for the party, and I can see us with a golden opportunity to take government and squandering it badly. I can't in this time allow that. I can't in this time allow that to happen. And so I want to say that this is where we are at. Annette Ferguson is back in. Annette, and so
Exactly.
we have a few more minutes. So I want you to talk to the people because we want to capture snippets of what you're saying. Talk to us.
No, I want to pick up the point you made earlier when you said that some persons are disingenuous and some other descriptives you used, right? But then again, Norman, I can look at it from this other angle. Let's say, for instance, an announcement was made of a consensus candidate and things aren't working out. Remember, the voters, the people are looking. And if one cannot be honest with themselves at 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 a position, then I guess there is consequences. You made reference to the fate suffered by Comrade Corbyn, right? And I know he was able to at least bring all the different political opposition parties together and have them collate. So at least he recognized that, well, look, he couldn't contest at an election because of his past performance. So I would simply say here, Norman, that at the end of the day, Guyanese are smart, Guyanese are listening, Guyanese are tuned in, right? And based on what is likely to play out, then Guyanese will have the last say whenever those dates for the elections are set, whether it's July, whether it's September, whether it's November of 2025. And the
I don't
coalition,
want to cut you, but I don't know if they're texting you and begging you like how Jagdio begged Mohammed's father not to say certain things. But I want to ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. I'll ask you a direct question. This is what this program is about. Do you think, honestly, Annette Ferguson, Member of Parliament, do you think that we can win the elections under this present confabulation and leadership?
Norman, should be told, um, let me spread wide. Then I
Why you baba weaving or wherever you could say yes or no and then go into your deliberations? You're going all over the place. Let me ask you the question again, Annette
know my
Ferguson, MP.
trying
Go
to
ahead.
interrupt me
No, I'm not
and
interrupting.
this.
I'm very, very serious because I am talking to you. You could say off the bat because you know it from the bottom of your heart. You're trying to be political here. And this is a problem with this struggle. People,
Norman, all I will tell you, that's what I'm saying. I was
go
going
ahead.
wide.
Don't go wide. Just answer the question and then go wide. Go ahead.
Norman, I believe you me, I believe we're in trouble. I believe we are in trouble. And once we get our house together, whether it's by a consensus candidate and in a uniform front, a united front, that is, the People's Progressive Party Civic will be beaten. Beaten. So nobody's texting me here, Norman, and I want to set the record straight. Nobody control my mind. I'm a free thinker. I'm an independent thinker. Nobody controls my mind. Like you, I want what is best for the People's National Congress reform. Like you, I know that we are at a crossroad where things are not, going the way they ought to go. But I believe there is time, right, before any elections are called. And once we get our house in order, the People's Progressive Party Civic will be beaten. I think I answered your question when you said to me that some persons are disingenuous. And my answer to you was, well, the electorate will make the final decision because decisions got consequences. So, Norman, what babbling, weaving, and dancing around the place and being political? I'm not being political here. I'm being straight with you, Norman. I believe we're in trouble. We still got time, according to, and as I said before, I am not a part of the leadership of the party. That's one. You gotta respect me for that. So I don't know the inner workings of things. I
You are
heard
a member of parliament for the opposition. You are a member of the PNCR. Whether you are the inner workings or you are sidelined, you are right up there with all of them. You have been sidelined. You are a victim. You are a victim of the nastiness that is happening in the party. Why don't you tell the world the truth to save the party?
Norman, whether I'm a victim and I have been whatever, at the end of the day, I am still a member of the party and I'm still giving making my contributions to this party. Norman, reports came to me. People called me, said to me that people went to people's house and tell people how I got to PPP. People from the party. Me make no better Ferguson and no way to go. You understand me? All that I want, Norman, like you, is for the People's National Congress reform to get it act together. Let us all come together so that we could fight the People's Progressive Party Civic. A consensus candidate, that's way above my pay grade. That's not for me to decide, Normal. That's way above my pay grade. I think the leader, the leader of the party and leader of the opposition would have made his statement clear where that is concerned. I can't say nothing more what I don't know, Norman. And I
Annette
won't come on.
Ferguson here on Voice of the Diaspora. Speaking out but dancing still, I want to say that,
You
we have been on the
know,
program.
Norman,
On it 1 second, I'll let you go. We have 10 minutes left, so you have an opportunity to speak. But this is what this program is about. It's not hating on anybody or anything, but it's speaking the truth, and it's influencing public opinion. Those who can agree and those who can disagree. But the right to speak is sacrosanct. You don't have to agree with my opinion, but you should defend the right for me to have that opinion. And that is what I want Guyanese to understand. We don't have to agree with opinions, but we must defend the right for persons to have that opinion. And Ferguson, go ahead.
but Norman, I notice, I hear your phone proper pinging. You getting all the messages coming in. But that
I
is
am not
like,
joking. It's from politicians and people from the other side too. I can show you. Yeah, so there are people who are more concerned about this program than the opposition that I'm fighting for. They
okay,
read the
all right.
newspapers today. They saw what I said, and they want to draw me over. They want to whatever. Oh, I am standing with my people at the moment. The 31st of March will make me make a decision, and when I make a decision, I'm not coming back. I have
Well,
spent
Norman,
20 something years in this struggle
well,
for the PNC,
Norman,
and
I.
we're not at a
Hmm?
good place. We're not at a good place. Go ahead, Annette. Go
Well,
ahead.
no, yeah, well, Norman, I guess, like you, many other persons are waiting to see what the final decision would look like come March 31st, 2025. But I just want to say to you, Norman, is that, if you really like something, we got to stay and fight the fight. Fight the fight.
Hold
Because
on,
at the end
hold
of the
on, hold on a minute, hold on a minute. I ain't like we're saying. Here was saying here. I fought this fight for
uh-huh.
nothing. You got monies as a member of parliament. You benefited as whatever. What have I ever got? I fought this fight selflessly. Fought tooth and nail. My time, sleepless nights, my own resources to see Aubrey Norton get there, to see Harmon and others who made mistakes be pushed aside. I fought. I continue to fight. Are you saying to me that we're in an oil-rich country and I want to see the PNC win the elections, and in front of my face, I'm seeing that we ourselves are undermining our chances, and you telling me I must stay? And what kind of politician are you?
No, no,
You
you tell
telling
me
me that we are
I
self-destructing. I have offered, like how I offered Norton, to the people to make a change and to inspire people to stay with the party and to build the morale of the party after we lost the elections. I did that single-handedly. Nobody cared. The morale of the party was broken. Everybody just gave up. I did everything within my power to rebuild that morale and to energize people in the party and to create a vibe and a vibration that we could be fired up again. And then shit happens. Sorry for the bad words. Shit happens. And you're saying to me that I'm saying now, I will make every sacrifices to see the PNC win the next elections. But these are the avenues we have to take. And you're telling me that somebody's going to take me to the graveyard and say jump in a hole. And I will say I have to stay with the party because no matter what. And what you say, man? What you really
All
say?
right, hey, a question.
Go ahead.
Based
Go
on
ahead.
all
Go ahead.
you just said, let me ask you a question. Based on all that you have just said, you said you work tirelessly to ensure that Comrade Norton, ascends to the leadership of the party. And you don't like what is happening now, right? Have you reached out to Comrade Norton and expressed to him
He doesn't
your
answer his phone. His last exchange with me is to say that I shouted at him and I am a little twat. That's his last communication with me. After then, I reached out to him. I have all the evidence. I said, this is politics. It's not personal. We could cuss out. We could have a bad vibe. But the interest of the party comes first. I'm still extending an olive branch for us to work together to make this thing happen. God is my witness. I have all the evidence. I put aside all of that. I put aside, you know what, when Norton got the leadership from my struggle, I'm not patting myself on the shoulder. You know, the first thing Norton tell people, I don't have a party card. What kind of human being is that? A man shouty belly for you. I don't care what nobody in the party say. Y'all can't change history. Y'all could never change. And God, you know why black people in the condition they're in for the longest while? You know why God put we in this condition and it's consistent globally? We are a wicked set of people towards each other. Go ahead.
Well, Norman, I beg to differ because this is one woman ain't wicked to nobody, right? So many, people just do me outside the thing, but as a child of God, I just still show them love because Jesus is love, right? So, Norman, I believe we have to wait and see what will play out after March 31st because we all want what is good for this nation. And as I said before, a lot of people, the ordinary Guyanese, they are looking to the People's National Congress reform as their savior, as their only hope, right? And I trust that after March 31st, we will be able to see a team going forward to defeat this wicked and vindictive cabal called the People's Progressive Party Civic. So Norman, that's all I would want to say for now. Like you, I like the PNC, but I don't like what is playing out in the PNC at the moment. And I believe we still have time where we can unite as one to go forward to fight the common enemy.
Annette Ferguson here on Voice of the Diaspora. Annette Ferguson here on Voice of the... We're closing up now. We're wrapping up now. It's been fiery. This is the conversation. There's no love lost. I hope you make your contributions to Voice of the Diaspora too. It's on the screen. We have work to do, and I am dedicated to the struggle to see the PNCR return to power once we do what is, right to give us that opportunity to even springboard into the race in a significant way. I will not walk away if we do what is right. I will not walk away. I love the PNCR, but I will not back a PNCR that is deliberately trying to undermine itself. I will never do that. My struggles will never do that. In time, Bob Marley said in his song, one of his greatest songs, he said, time alone will tell. You think you're in heaven, but you're living in hell. Annette Ferguson, your closing remarks.
Well, Norman, I just want to say once again, I really, really appreciate the work that you have been doing on your through your platform, just to ensure that the message goes out, our people remain upbeat and prepare themselves for what is to come later in 2025. And I pray that whatever vision, whatever plans you have for this platform to see it blossom like a CNN, a BBC, I wish you nothing but the best. And I pray Almighty God guide you in the right direction so that you could propel forward. Once again, I really, really thank you for giving me the opportunity to come and to share. And I trust that I was able to, bring the facts and the information to your people. They're better informed now. So once again, yes, we got work to do. And so see the back of the People's Progressive Party Civic. So may God continue to bless you, my brother. May God continue to bless Voice of the Diaspora, and God continue to bless people's national
And
Congress reform.
make sure you bless us too. Not only God. And the Ferguson, it's been a pleasure having you here on this program. You are a friend. We fall out sometimes, but you are a true friend. I have genuine love for you, and I could only pray and hope that you continue to contribute in the largest of ways to the development of this country. Even when we are down on our faces, you are fighting the struggle. Even when you're facing adversity from your own, you're fighting the struggle. I don't care what nobody say about you. I love you, my sister. We have, Annette Ferguson, many rivers to cross. This song is dedicated to you.
Many rivers to cross, but I can't seem to find my way over. Wandering, I've been lost as I traveled along the wide cliffs of Dover. It's only my will that keeps me alive. I've been licked, washed up for years, and I merely survived because of my pride. And the loneliness wouldn't leave me alone. Such a drag to be on your own. My woman left and she didn't say why. Well, I guess I had to cry. Many rivers I've crossed, but just where to begin? Playing for time. There've been times I found myself thinking of committing some dreadful crime.